So now we're moving on to the weighted average cost method for determining the cost of ending inventory. So again, with this table, we can copy it from the previous page just to get all of our totals. And put that there. Okay, so then with the weighted average cost, it's kind of like it sounds. So we're going to find the average cost of all of our bikes and then take that times the amount of bikes that we have left over. So it's pretty easy. So again, there were 7 bikes left over in the inventory at the end of the period. So in each of these sections, I would really like for you to show your work, to show me how you came up with the numbers that you did. And so in step 1, we're adding the total number of units on hand at the beginning of the period. And that one's pretty easy. It tells us we have 35 units available at the beginning of the period. So that's 35. Step 2, add the total cost of units at the beginning of the period. Total cost we've already calculated over here as $14,545. So now we need to find the average cost per unit of inventory. So in order to find that number, we take the total cost of the bikes available for sale divided by the total number of bikes. So we can do the total number of bikes. Actually, well, let's just do, we can do an equation in here. So we want to do total cost divided by total number of bikes to get, now, so we just found the average cost per unit of inventory. So these are the specific prices we paid per unit. Then we simply found the average cost that we paid per unit. So now we need to take that amount times however many units we have left over, so 7, to find out the total cost of inventory that we have left over. So this is going to be equals 7 times 415.87 equals $2,909. So that's pretty simple. That's the weighted average cost method. Again, we just found the average cost per bike that we had left over, or the average cost per bike, and then we took that amount times the amount of bikes that we had left over. So that is our weighted average cost, cost of ending inventory. So now we want to find the cost of the merchandise that we sold. And in order to do this, we're going to need the numbers that we had for purchases available for resale, and then we're going to want to subtract what we had for ending inventory to find out the cost of merchandise that we sold. So the purchases available for resale, that'd be this 14,554 number. That was how many bikes we had available for resale. So I like to do just equals 14,544 and then we want to subtract what we had for our ending inventory. So that number is going to be different for each one of these because we found each of them separately in each method. So this amount is going to equal the amount that we found in our FIFO method. And then this amount is going to equal what we found with our LIFO method. And finally, our weighted average cost method. All right, and we just do a simple equation here. We want to subtract our inventory from our beginning, and then that gives us the amount of the cost of merchandise that was sold. So this, of the merchandise that we sold, it cost us $11,520 for all of those units that we sold. So copy that equation to the rest of these cells to get those totals. And then on this income statement, we want to figure out the gross profit that we made on our sales. So, and I just noticed up here that I have this worded wrong because you're going to think that it's the same amount purchases available for resale, but this should actually be the, so we actually want this to say net sales. So this should be the amount of bikes that we sold at the cost, or at the price that we sold them. So we know that we sold 28 bikes during the year, and we sold them for $675 each. So that's going to be our net sales. Oops, gotta put my equal sign in there. So our net sales is $18,900. We sold 28 bikes at $695 a piece. So now we need to subtract the cost of merchandise sold, which we found on the previous tab in each method. So our first one's, we copy over this FIFO method, then the LIFO method, and finally the weighted average cost. So that's the cost of merchandise sold. Now we need to subtract that out to find our gross profit on sales for each of these methods. So go ahead and finish up those calculations, and that will be it for part 2 of this assignment. If you have any questions, please let me know.